Down syndrome education.
So sorry I'm a minute late in getting here. My computer just was totally frozen up and still is a little bit. So that's a lot of fun. Let's see. Again, Ian, Corey, and Troy in person. We've got Christian virtually, Brendan virtually. No Hayward yet. Eli virtually. Well, Eli was trying to get in a second ago. I don't know what happened to him. Nate here, Chip here, Sterling here. Do do do. Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da. Don't bring me down. Okay. Hopefully the last couple of days with being pretty much virtual or not meeting on Zoom, hopefully those have gone okay. I will talk about questions with the morality play in a few minutes because I'm sure you have some. But the first thing I want to do is go over the vocabulary. So if y'all will take a look at your answers, I'm going to share my screen in just a second and go over that as soon as I can get my copy up. Hamlet. I'm going to be so excited to read Hamlet with you guys. Vocab. Well, where the heck is it? Here we go. Troy, we're just about to go over our vocabulary. And I would love to have my screen up here showing it, but for some reason it is not connecting. It does not like me, I'm convinced. Okay. Maybe. Freaking A, this computer today is just not cooperating with me. I'll tell you what's wrong, people get out the door. Okay, I'm trying to share my screen with you and it's not wanting to cooperate. I think it will cooperate in a minute, but hopefully you can pull up your own copies. Oh, there comes Hayward. Perfect. Let me go let him in and change his attendance, which now you can see, but I don't want to risk stopping sharing my screen and not being able to get it back. Okay. So let's take a little look at our Hamlet vocabulary. So you guys kind of heard the words on your own or read the words on your own and the definitions. But let's take a look at the sentences and see. I'm trying to see if there's any that are weird pronunciations. Number 3, jocund or jocund. And number 7, calumny. Other than that, they should be pretty easy to read. Oh, number 4 is obsequious. Maybe that's a hard one. Okay. Let's look at the sentences and you guys tell me what you think the answers are. Number 1, it was a bold move for the newspaper editor to publish the blank that would most likely destroy the politician's career, but he also felt that it was his duty.
But it's not animals, it's us. We pick them and keep planting them because we like how they look.
Yes, Corey said number 7, calumny. That is correct.
There are mysteries all around us.
I'm also going to,
next week's question.
Well, I was trying to mute whoever, but it's not letting me. Okay. Number 2, the small group of students singing and playing music during their long lunch hour put the normally grumpy crowd in a blank mood. Yes. Number 3, I always write a letter of complaint to businesses that fall short of my expectations because it's important to get a blank started about what they could do better, and it might result in my getting free stuff. Discourse, correct. Good. Number 4, the teacher tried to hide her blank when she learned that her most badly behaved student had been suspended for a week. Mirth, correct. Teachers would never do that. What? It's the one from yesterday. We're just going over the answers. Number 5, in one famous Bible story, a son takes his inheritance from his father, spends it all on a lavish and corrupt lifestyle, exhibiting blank habits, and then returns home where his father welcomes him back with open arms. Which one? Number 10, yes, prodigal. And I wanted to mention that word actually because really the only context we ever hear that is when people talk about the prodigal son, which is that Bible story, but we kind of use it just like in culture, we kind of use it casually. Like if somebody's been gone for a long time and they come back, they're like, oh, the prodigal son returns. And so it kind of has this connotation of meaning like you've been away and you've come back, but that's not actually what it means. It means like spending excessively or lavishly. And he, like the dude from the story is called the prodigal son because he went away and like spent his inheritance on like frivolous, excessive things, not because he left and came back. But we kind of have like a skewed version of what that word means just from like using it in culture. Okay, number 6, after he was shot in the leg, he acquired a limp which affected his formerly confident gait. Yes, Corey's nailing it today. Number 7, the family fought over the grandmother's necklace, which they assumed was worth thousands, but after having it appraised, they realized she had replaced the stones with fakes, transforming the heirloom into a mere trifle. Yep. Number 8, the student complimented his teacher and brought her gifts, hoping that his blank behavior would incline her to raise his grade. Obsequious, yes. Exactly, good job. Number 9, though my grandfather's blank increased with every year, he was still strong and healthy enough to live on his own. Any ideas? Frailty, very good. He's frail, but not too frail to have to live with someone else. And lastly, the blank professor always gave his female students lower grades than the males despite their quality of work. Last one. Misogynistic.
Misogynist.
Yep.
For some reason, my mic was being weird because I've already tried answering a few of these, but you couldn't actually hear me.
Oh, weird. Yeah, I couldn't hear you. Huh. Okay. Any ones that anyone missed or need to go back over? Okay. Keep in mind this is to help you study for your quiz on Friday. Number 9, though my grandfather's frailty increased with every year, he was still strong and healthy enough to live on his own. So he's getting old and frail and weak, but not quite enough to where he can't live on his own. Any other ones? Okay. Let me stop sharing with you for a minute here. Let me go back to my docs for 1 second. Okay, so in the time that we have been apart from each other, y'all read Everyman, the short morality play, and then you got the assignment, which I kind of want to go back over a little bit, just in case you guys have questions on it, and because I wasn't here to actually explain it yesterday. But I think you probably got a pretty good idea of what morality plays are supposed to be like from Everyman. because obviously like the characters in that are like everyman, God, death, good works, riches, all these characters that are really more of ideas. So let's take a look back at the assignment for a moment. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Heavens. I was going to share my screen. And again, guys, I'm sorry I can't make it come up here on this screen. My screen will start sharing in a minute. It's just being slow. So this assignment, you're going to be writing your own morality play, and you can kind of use everyman like as a template. Just remember that everyone has different morals, and we're writing in the 21st century, not in the Middle Ages. So the morals that you're going to want to try to convey are going to be a little bit different probably than the ones written in the Middle Ages would. So just like in Everyman, your goal with this play is to impart a lesson about the morality we should live by through a dramatic script, which means that you need characters who represent those ideas and a specific lesson that's being imparted. Like the lesson of Everyman is kind of like to not be wasteful and, you know, to try to live in a good, upstanding way. And that was kind of like God's intervention. So you guys should be somewhat familiar with script format because we did that with the Beowulf scene rewrite. What you're going to do is start with a cast of characters and any necessary stage directions or setting. And on the assignment page, I gave you guys kind of like the font and size and everything like that. And it needs to be at least 4 pages, but once you start writing a script, 4 pages is really not that much because you're going to like have a line between every line of dialogue. So the one that I kind of like started one here just as an example of something that you could do. And I made the title, the students and the teacher. The cast of characters were teacher.
I like how you use an adjective as students.
Yes. Yeah, like just disruption, disrespect, and condescension, because they're all supposed to represent those things, which is the goal. Like your characters should represent certain. Yeah, you can do that, or you can do like, you know how in Everyman, like God was a character. Your characters should be more like concepts than actual people. So my setting was a classroom, obviously, with this teacher standing in front of the students trying to lecture. The teacher says, and so you see, a morality play is intended to educate the audience on how they should behave in order to live a moral and upstanding life. And then disrespect, that student says, are you sure you're the right one to be teaching us about morality, teacher? What a snothead. And the teacher says, what exactly is that supposed to mean? And disruption. Oh, so disrespect spoke first. Now disruption is saying, man, why do we have to learn this anyway? And the teacher says, disruption, I need you to sit there and be quiet. And then we have our third student, condescension. And he says, not every student our age knows how to sit there and be quiet. And disruption says, why don't you shut up? And disrespect says, so we can all continue learning this super important stuff. And the teacher says, settle down now, children. And disrespect says, settle down now, children. And then disruption says, I gotta pee. And that's all I wrote so far. So you can kind of see how disruption, disrespect, and condescension really kind of embody those ideas. Like disruption is always disrupting, disrespect is being disrespectful, and condescension is being condescending. So you can kind of see there like what you're aiming to do with your characters. Your characters should embody ideas. Now you don't have to do disruption, disrespect, condescension. You can do yours however you want. Think about like what morals you want to try to impart and what kind of characters would help to convey that message. Any questions about this?
No, ma'am.
Did I say on there when it is due?
You said next week.
Next. Okay. I'm just getting back to your Canvas page for a second.
What is your, so do we have to have like the percentage specific that somebody's being punished, so like, has to like, basically has to have a meaning?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be at all like the one I started. It doesn't have to be like every man, but you're just coming up with an idea or like a moral that you want to try to convey through yours. Does that make sense? And then like your characters would be things that like concepts that can help you to impart that lesson. Original morality play, October 26th, which is what, next Monday? I'm just looking at my calendar. Yeah, next Monday. Okay. Okay, so what we're gonna do now, as I'm sure you could tell from the fact that we have Hamlet vocabulary, we're gonna move into the Renaissance era, which is primarily Shakespeare. He was the biggest author of that time. His stuff has been the most lasting and like continue to have an impact on literature now. So we will be reading Hamlet, which is also my fave Shakespeare play. I love it so much, even though I kind of hate Hamlet himself. He's very whiny. But the first thing we're going to do is look at some notes on Shakespeare. And if you were in my class when you were in the 9th grade, you were, yeah, most of you were actually, with a couple of exceptions. But if you were, then these are the same notes from back then. So some of it might not be totally foreign concepts. But we're going to review it. And I'm going to share my screen with you as soon as I get this up. Let me try again to see if I can get the screen up here. Come on, come on, come on. Like, it obviously wants to. Let me try one thing. I think I need to keep it on this. I'm not confident. Let's try. Or I could try to plug this thing in. No, okay, could not connect. Come on. If I can't work this out, I'm gonna plug it in. Nope, it's not gonna work. Curses. I'm gonna have to like have this whole thing plugged in if I have to plug it in. It's like heavy, it gets weighed down. Hate this. Never thought I'd miss the old projectors, but I kind of do. It's too much. It doesn't want to work. Okay, now I'm like frozen up. Jeez. I hope this is not about to kick me off of Zoom. This should be working, but for some reason it is not. Wait a minute. Sorry guys, this is taking 20,000 years to try to figure this out. There we go. Okay, perfect. Beautiful. All right. Let me get my screen shared. Maybe. This is so annoying. I miss my old computer. I miss the old projectors. I miss Google Classroom.
Why do you miss your old computer?
Hmm?
Why do you miss your old computer?
Because this one has less space on it, and I think it is just too crowded and makes stuff run slowly. All right.
It took me about 2 hours to get everything off the computer that I had from last year.
Yeah.
So I can have more space.
Well, Mike kept saying like it's gonna be exactly like your old computer. You won't notice any difference. And then as soon as I got it, I was like, this is so different, Mike. Okay, let's take a look at these notes together. And this is something that I will post on Canvas, but I have not yet. Okay, so William Shakespeare, obviously, very famous writer, probably the most famous writer. If you look here, it says that he was born on April 23rd and died on April 23rd. That's probably true. What we actually know is that he was baptized as a baby on April 26th, and kids were usually baptized 3 days after they were born. So unless something weird happened, he was born and died on the same day, which is kind of weird in itself, but
How old was he when he died?
he was young. Let's see, what 1616 to 16.
I
Well,
thought you said he was 60. I'm like, there's he's like,
he wrote all those things. 1616 minus 1564. 52, correct. You're much better at math than I am. So he lived in this place called Stratford upon Avon because it was a town called Stratford and it was upon the Avon River. And I mean, that sounds kind of funny, but England still has towns like that, like Henley on Thames, which is the town of Henley upon the Thames River. God dang it, what is happening? I'm so annoyed. Screen sharing has stopped because your external display has been disconnected. It's just like jumping around. Okay, okay. Where's my mouse? Okay. I'm so sorry, guys. This is very frustrating. I like don't have a mouse. Can I? Because this thing's so heavy that it like drops and falls down. Okay, here. Let's get this situated. Okay, got that going. Let's get screen share going. Now, like, what's happening here? I feel like we're wasting so much time today just fooling with technology and waiting for technology, which I hate. I've just got this little spinning beach ball on the screen. So annoying. I know I should just wait on it, but okay. Okay, am I sharing my screen? No. Okay. Hopefully you guys are seeing this. We're seeing it in here. It should be okay. All right, this is gonna go full screen in a second. There we go. There we go. Of course, now my face is in the way. I'm leaving it. I can't do anything. Stratford was a prosperous and successful market town. Okay. Sorry, guys. Y'all can't see this super well. William Shakespeare was born to John Shakespeare and Mary Arden. His father was a glove maker and also worked for the Stratford government. It probably goes without saying that his mother did not work because mothers did not really do that back then. So Stratford is located upon the Avon River, as I mentioned. This is just a picture of the Clopton Bridge, which leads all the way from Stratford to London. Very famous bridge. So if you look down the Avon River here, you can see the church where Shakespeare is buried. You can see the steeple, like right between it. Sorry, I'm like really trying to move this, guys. I didn't want to do that yet. All right. Henley Street. This is the house that Shakespeare was born in, which is located in the middle of town. Henley Street. Remember that. It might come in handy later. There's another picture of it. I have a few pictures of it. These are not pictures I took myself. I've never been there. I'd love to go. But another teacher that I know took all these photos and put it together. Put this thing together. There we go. Yay. I just moved my face. Made me very happy. Okay, this is Stratford Grammar School where he went to school. As you can see, it's sort of like a combination church and school. It sort of reminds me of our old building, honestly. But it does look quite different inside. I mean, it looks different outside, but the fact that it's a cathedral and a school, or like a big church and a school, is very similar to 120 Broad. This is probably what the schoolroom looked like when Shakespeare attended the grammar school, which to me, more than like our schoolrooms, our classrooms, sort of makes me think of like a classroom from Harry Potter. Who is this beautiful lady, you ask? That's Anne Hathaway, not the actor. This was his wife. They got married in 1582. He was 18 and she was 26, which was kind of it was unusual for, like, it wasn't unusual for an 18-year-old to get married, but for her to be so much older than him was pretty surprising. It would not have really been surprising if she was 18 and he was 26, because like older men would marry younger women all the time back then, but usually the woman was not the older one. They had 3 children, Susanna and the twins Hamnet and Judith. You will notice his son's name is very close to the title of the play we're going to be reading. Just changed 1 letter. This is just the walk to Anne Hathaway's cottage. There is actually this conspiracy theory, though, that Anne Hathaway and William Shakespeare are like time travelers or vampires or something, because his wife's name was Anne Hathaway. And if you look up pictures of the actress Anne Hathaway's husband, whose name I can't remember, he kind of looks like William Shakespeare. It's very weird. There's another picture of her house. These are horrible quality photos. I apologize. Not very good. Cute little house, though. So this picture is taken in 1892, and there are a lot of pictures taken today in the same spot so that you can obviously see the house that they lived in. So this guy with the high forehead, his name is James Burbage. He built a theater in 1576 and called his theater the Theater, because people were very good at naming things back then. That playhouse got demolished in 1599, and the timber was used to build the Globe Theater outside of London city limits, which the Globe is kind of known as being like the place where all of Shakespeare's plays were performed back in the day. I have read, though, that because of the pandemic, that the Globe might have to close. And obviously it's been there for over 400 years at this point. That would be really tragic. I haven't read up on it in a little while, so I don't know how it's doing, but hopefully they won't have to close. This is kind of what it looks like from the inside. Obviously it's called the Globe because it's round, and the whole, like, the audience is kind of sat around the stage. That's a picture of I'm not sure what play it is, but a Shakespeare play being performed at the Globe.
Isn't it round so that you can hear it better?
Yeah. Yeah, one of the reasons that it is round is to help with the acoustics so that hopefully everybody, like no matter where you're seated, would have a better chance of hearing it well. That's just the top of the stage. It's a bunch of people watching this play. You can tell that even the ceiling is very beautiful. I'd love to go to a play here someday. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let me go back just in case. I can't remember if this is mentioned later. Pretty confident that it is. But you know what? It is. Never mind. The Lord Chamberlain's Men's Acting Company performed for the royal court. Like they were commissioned to do plays. In 1603, they became the King's Men. Again, like not super creative names, but they performed a lot for King James I. The Globe Theatre burned down in 1613 when a prop cannon was fired during a performance of Henry VIII. We have all kinds of cool special effects that we can do on stage now, but they were limited to just a few. Like they had prop cannons, they had trap doors, they did stuff with curtains, but unfortunately, this cannon went off and burned the whole place down. They built it back. In 1597, Shakespeare produced a new home called The New Place. But before we talk about that, let me go back for a sec. I wanted to talk to you about two things. Number one, you'll notice this flag up at the top, and they changed the color of the flag depending on what kind of play it was. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember it's like for the like if it was a horror movie. I think it was yellow for horror movie.
Tragedy, comedy, or history play. And so it would be black, red, or white. So if it was black, you knew you were going to see a tragedy. If the flag was white, you knew you were going to see a comedy. And if it was red, I guess as in blood, you were going to see a history play because most of the history plays are about wars. So if it's red for blood, that kind of makes sense. And I also want to point out that when we talk about tragedy and comedy, we're not necessarily talking about, like, especially with comedy, we're not necessarily talking about comedy the way that we think about it. We're not talking about like Kevin Hart kind of comedy. When we talk about a play being a comedy, all it really means is that it ends happily. Usually with somebody getting married, not always, but like people don't die at the end of a comedy. At the end of a tragedy, probably everybody dies. There's at least some really significant deaths. And I don't want to spoil everything for you, but in Hamlet, there are a lot of deaths. There are not many people left standing at the end of Hamlet. And the other thing, which y'all might remember, is that in the upper decks, like the upper balcony, that's where royalty would sit. I mean, the Queen commissioned a lot of plays to be written and performed for her. And so they would kind of stand up there or sit up in the highest balconies, but the lower class people would stand on the floor, and they were referred to as groundlings, ground L-I-N-G-S, groundlings. And it was, I mean, like, I guess it was good if you got to go see a play, that's fun, but it was also like not an experience that we would want because a play is like 2.5, 3 hours. You're not allowed to leave. If you have to go to the bathroom, you're going to go right there on the ground. People are probably like drinking and having a good time beforehand and even maybe during, which results in people like throwing up on the ground. So that's not like a super fun place to watch a play from. If you could avoid being a groundling, I certainly would. Okay, so we saw this already. Going back to his new home called The New Place. Very good at naming things. He retired there in 1610. He was very wealthy. Even though, for the record, while we think of him as like the most famous writer ever, pretty much, he really wasn't the most famous writer at the time. Christopher Marlowe was probably the most famous writer at the time. And like, we still read some of Christopher Marlowe's stuff, but I mean, I never took a class on Christopher Marlowe in college, and I did take a class on Shakespeare, so I think that kind of says something. His eldest daughter, Susanna, received the new place when he died, and then the owner, after Susanna demolished the house, how could she have known, he or she? I'm sorry, I feel like I'm really hard to understand with this. I feel like they probably would have made a fortune on it if they had not demolished it. So this is where he's buried. We saw that kind of down the river when we looked at that one picture. This is the Holy Trinity Church. That's like a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Not statue, like a memorial statue to him. And that's just the outside of the church. That's where he's actually buried. You can see it's like roped off. People are not allowed to go right up to it. The last will and testament is held at the Public Records Office. And you can't really read that little warning on his grave. It's like, good friend for something's sake, for dear to, it's basically saying like, don't touch this grave or some kind of harm will befall you. This is not super important. Okay, this is super important and super cool. Shakespeare is credited with creating more than 3,000 words in the Oxford English Dictionary. Some of these words are super common now, like laughable and accused and rant. Some of them are a little funnier, like skim milk. He came up with skim milk. Bloodstained, which is really a nice poetic word. But these are, I mean, upwards of 3,000 words, and some of these obviously are ones that we still use every day now. Yeah, all like really common words. So thanks, Shakespeare. Some of you may remember this. Do you remember this?
I remember this.
You know why I asked you? Because you are the only person that I have taught who spelled it right the first time. This is the longest Shakespearean word. We'll see if you can do it a second time. Honorificabilitudinatibus, which like, I kind of think, thank God we don't use this word anymore just because it's a mouthful. But it really just means like with honor, to act with honor. Yeah, right. Why do we need to say that? Here are some of the more unusual words he created, or he used, but he didn't create, just to kind of show you like how different our language is now and how much it has changed. Hugger-mugger, fardels, fadge, grice, orgulus, and arger. Okay, here's the definitions, but they are not in order. Which one do you guys think is hugger-mugger? I think that would be a noun, if I had to guess. To work out or fit together, burden, proud and haughty, a secret or clandestine act, terrible / fearful, or plowed up land. Which one of those do y'all think hugger-mugger would be? Oh my gosh, somebody's trying to get to me in the chat and I like cannot see it. Ah, don't look, don't look. I was trying to see if I could see the chat, but I can't. Okay, I'm gonna go with D on that one. Plowed up land. I'm keeping track of answers. What about fardels? Which I would almost think, I would think it would be like a plural noun, but maybe it's like a present tense verb. Like,
Maybe. I would think it would be something similar to what we use.
So which one of those would be the closest? Let's go with I never remember these from year to year, so I'm not like intentionally being bad at it or cheating and remembering them all. I'm gonna go with A, work out or fit together. Like maybe, I hope her plan fartles. I don't know. Number 3, fadge. What would you think that one would be? That also kind of sounds like a noun, but we don't have enough nouns. But F could be a noun, so let's go with that. I'm going quickly because we're gonna run out of time soon. Grice. Maybe that could be an adjective, which could be C or E. Let's go with E, just because it sounds more sinister. Number 5, orgulous, gotta be an adjective. So let's go with C, proud and haughty. And then the last one, arger, well, the only one we have left is B. So let's see how we/I did. Got the first one right. Hugger mugger means a secret or clandestine act. I don't know, I think like the mugger part made me think that maybe that was true. The second one did not get right. The second one is B. Fartles is burden. How? What's the S about? I don't understand. Number 3 did not get it right. It should be F. Fadge is plowed up land. Number 4 got right. Grice is terrible or fearful. Number 5 got that one right. Orgulous means proud or haughty. I kind of feel like that means that. Like, I just feel like it sounds like it means that. And then the last one did not get correct. 6 is F. No, wait. Plowed, yes, plowed up land. Did I say something else was plowed up land? I don't know. Okay. So that, I'm so glad we actually like got through all of that today. And let me pull up this and see if I can find, oh, now I can see what's in the chat. It was a guess. And I don't actually remember which word we were trying to guess at that point. I can't tell if you were right. Okay. I gotta see if I can find this. Let me stop sharing this for just a second and see if I can find what I'm looking for. Oh, I think I might know where it is. Or not. Project. Here we go. Maybe. Okay, it might take me a little bit to find this. What I'm going to give you is, whenever I manage to find it, it's somewhere on my computer, but one of the reasons my computer runs so slow is because I have too much on it. I actually just had one idea of where it might be. Lesson plans. I bet it's in Romeo and Juliet. Whew, y'all remember doing lines to remember? Okay, I would have thought it was in here. I still kind of think it's in here. Is this it? Yes, hot dog. PowerPoint intro questions. I'm gonna have just enough time to show y'all what you're gonna do. You've got 3 minutes. So little time. While I'm figuring this out, I just want to apologize. I just feel like today's been so disorganized, but it's because my computer's not wanting to do anything. It's very annoying. And I feel like it's made us waste a lot of time, but at least we got through the notes, which makes me really happy. Here we go. Actually, no, Spotify, I'm not trying to open you right now. Leave me alone. 2 minutes, 2 minutes. I would love to put the questions directly in Canvas. Oh, well, okay. I'm gonna have to do it like without you guys anyway, because I just realized I'm trying to upload a version of it that has someone's answers on it. They're not the correct answers, but they're somebody's answers. So what I'm gonna do is post this intro quiz, and it's about 10 questions that all have to do with the notes. So I'm going to wait until after we do this to post the notes, actually, because I want to see what you can remember from this. And I'll give you probably like 10 minutes at the beginning of class to, oh, maybe not tomorrow. No, we'll do it tomorrow or Thursday. To get that done, and however many points you guys get, like, keep in mind, none of it is going to affect your grade in a negative way. If you don't get any of them right, it's still okay. But however many points you get right, you'll have that many points added to your vocab quiz grade on Friday. So I will get that posted as soon as possible. But any questions before I let you go?
No, ma'am. No questions here.
All right. Well, then I will see you guys tomorrow.